A lot of people who apply to my one-on-one mentoring program tell me that they feel stuck. They watch all these tutorials and then they copy code and then they go through the tutorials to build a project, but when it comes to building their own projects, they don't know where to start or they feel overwhelmed. They want to break free from following tutorials and then be able to build their own projects to give themselves some confidence that they can actually do software development. In this video, I'm going to be explaining why tutorial dependence happens and then give you a mindset shift on how you can actually use those tutorials to build your own projects and then in so doing, build confidence and skill. So my name's Henrik and I'm here to help you learn the foundations of software development. So let's get started. But before we begin, I'd like to mention that I do have a free workshop for you. It's called my Capstone Project Workshop. And in that workshop, I go over 3 secrets to coding your own Capstone project in just 3 months. Now, why did I create this workshop? The most common goal that I get from people who apply to my one-on-one programming mentorship program is to, quote, be more proficient at creating projects. You and I both know that learning how to code is more than just memorizing code syntax. It's about applying your coding skills to real-world projects that make you feel confident and capable. So if this sounds like you can download this workshop in the link in the description. And if you download it and watch it and pay attention to what it says, then you'll definitely build a good foundation to your software development journey. Okay, so here's the real problem. The real problem is not the tutorials themselves, but rather the way that we're using the tutorials. A lot of times beginners like to use tutorials because it helps them feel productive because they're actually building something. And that's nice in the beginning, but if you keep doing that, if you keep using these tutorials to build something that these tutorials are teaching you, and then you don't actually think about what you're learning from these tutorials, then that's how tutorial dependence happens. Tutorial dependence also happens because beginners are scared of making mistakes, but it is in these mistakes that beginners can grow in their software development. Much like programming languages, verbal languages operate the same way. If you're learning a verbal language and then you look at certain phrases and you stick to just those phrases, then you're not going to really grow in your proficiency in that verbal language. It is only when you're using the language and trying to communicate your own ideas in your head in that verbal language and you make mistakes and then someone corrects you, it's only when that happens that you can actually grow in that verbal language. I like playing guitar, and when I was young, I used to like looking up guitar tabs to play different songs that I liked. And it was fun in the beginning. I could play all these songs, but after some time, I started to feel limited as a guitarist and feel stagnant in my growth. And tutorials are often like this as well, because tabs don't teach you much about guitar arrangement or music theory, and so you can't really arrange your own songs after learning all these tabs. And likewise with coding, you can't learn how to code if you're just following tutorials all the time. But here's the interesting thing about guitar tabs. When I was learning guitar tabs, but also learning music theory at the same time, I started to get curious on why the guitarist arranged the song the way that he or she did. So I would look at the tabs and ask questions on how this relates to music theory. And this was really good because I was learning music theory, but I didn't see how it could be applied. But through the guitar tabs, I was able to see how it could be applied. Okay, let's bring this concept over to the programming world. I see coding tutorials like I see guitar tabs. Coding tutorials are good because they help you build something, but not only that, they show you how you can apply programming concepts and programming theory into building an actual program. And with that theory and with those concepts, we can actually build our own program. And likewise with tabs, when I was learning tabs, I was getting some foundation on how to apply my music theory into playing guitar, and because of my curiosity of trying to understand those tabs, I was able to start making my own arrangements on guitar. And let me let you in on a secret. Even though I've been coding for probably over 20 plus years and professionally for over 10 plus years, even though I've been coding this long, I still rely on coding tutorials myself. And that's because the coding world is very large and vast. And there's a lot of different programming languages now, and there's a lot of tools and APIs that you can use. And the only way that you can learn how to use all of these tools and APIs is by looking at example code and looking at tutorials. But the trick here is when I look at these coding tutorials, I don't look at them by themselves. I look at them as tools and education tools on how I can use these skills to build my own projects. So that's the key. I want to build my own projects, so I look at these tutorials to help give me some programming concepts and skills so that I can build my own projects. Alright, so here's how you break free from coding tutorials. You need to start building your own programming projects. And you want to build something that's unique, something where there's no tutorial that you can follow that will help you build that one project. But at the same time, you want to look for a project where tutorials can actually give you the programming concepts that you need to build that programming project. So it's kind of like me with guitar. I was learning guitar tabs, but I was only able to start growing as a guitarist when I started arranging my own songs. And so I would look at the music theory that I had and then also look at some guitar tabs that applied that music theory. And then I was able to take what I learned through those tabs and the music theory and combine them together to make my own arrangements. So same way with your own programming projects. You want to take all the things that you're learning from these coding tutorials and see how programming concepts and programming theory is applied, and then start applying that in your programming project. For beginners, I always recommend that beginners learn how to code in C, because if you learn how to code in C, you really develop these foundational concepts in programming. And when you have these foundational concepts in programming in C, then you can start taking those concepts when you start coding in other languages as well. And this is what happened with me. I started learning C first. I learned C in university. And then when I went to my software jobs, I was able to pick up Java, Python, C++, C#, JavaScript, because I learned these concepts in C first. And so when I learned these other higher level programming languages, I had a good background for learning them. So I recommend that beginners learn C so that you can learn the necessary programming concepts and theory that you need in C. And then all of those concepts will go with you when you start learning the other programming languages. So the key here is not to avoid coding tutorials whatsoever and just focus on building a programming project without looking up a tutorial. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is that you want to build your own programming project and then look up tutorials that you need to help you build that programming project. Like I mentioned earlier, tutorial dependence happens because beginners are scared of making mistakes. So as you start building your own programming projects, don't be scared of making mistakes. That's how you're going to grow in your software development. So go ahead and make mistakes, and you don't have to get it right the first time. The nice thing about coding is that you can constantly upgrade your code. You can constantly release a new version of your code. So build a simple programming project. Start with something small and then build off of that and start adding more features to it, add new versions to it. And then over time, you'll start to build a larger programming project or a larger application, and then you can build something that you're proud of. And then as you're building it, you're building more confidence with that programming language. And then there's a lot of bugs that are happening. And then in the future, you'll encounter similar versions of the same bugs, but you'll know what to do because you've encountered that bug before. So just keep focusing on building your programming projects and ironing out those different bugs that you're encountering. And then over time, you will be able to grow in your software development journey. All right, so with that said, I want to hear from you too. What programming project are you going to start this week? I would like to invite you to choose just one simple programming project that you can start building this week. And let me know in the comments section too what you're going to build. It'll be cool to see that, and it'd be nice for everyone else to see that too. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a free workshop for you, my Capstone project workshop. And in that workshop, I go over 3 secrets to coding your own Capstone project in just 3 months. So if you want to become more proficient at creating your own projects, you want to move on from these tutorials and create your own projects, then be sure to check the link in the description and watch my coding workshop today. Alright, that's it for this week's video. I hope it really helped you out and helped give you some ideas on how you can break free from coding tutorials and start building your own programming projects. And if it did help you out, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know in the comments section, and I'll be sure to answer you there. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.